All right, Silksong is out, and it's been out for 2 days now. Let's talk about what's going on, because as expected, this game is blowing up. I previously talked about how Silksong's launch crashed Steam, eShop, and PlayStation Network, and even Xbox users were having some trouble. Goes to highlight how many people flooded the servers because the demand for this game was so high. And this is true. I showed you footage in that video myself, and then you got folks like Nathan here who said Silksong killed the freaking eShop and Steam, and you can see all of the error messages that popped up while people were trying to make the purchase of the title. And then let's talk about the player numbers. So I remember when I did my last video covering the crash of Steam and all the different shops because of the high demand, that in the first hour of the game's launch, it already peaked at over 100,000 players. And that was while people were having trouble getting the game. Now it's been 2 days since the game's launch, and looking at Steam stats here, it's pretty insane what this game is achieving, having peaked as of the last time we've seen Steam charts at 587,150 players. This is the second consecutive time that I've seen the all-time peak go up day by day. I think it started like 530,000 on the first day, then 560-some thousand on the second day, now 587,000. And this is just not something that is normal to see. And even its previous entry, Hollow Knight, saw a brand new all-time peak in the last 24 hours as of the recording of this video, having peaked to 88,360 players, which is higher than the 70-something thousand we saw when the release date of Silksong was announced. So people are clearly like checking Hollow Knight out so then they can like play Silksong, as those two games go hand in hand. And so suffice to say that it is an immensely successful indie release, Silksong. And so much so that if you look at SteamDB's top games of all time in terms of all-time peaks, you can see right here that, PUBG is still the king of that. But scrolling further down, you'll find that Silksong, Hollow Knight Silksong, with its, it actually should be, let me actually refresh this. It might actually be higher now. There it is. Yep, it is higher. So it was 18th, now it's 17th with its 587,150 all-time peak concurrent players, which beats out a bunch of games that are, incredible juggernauts in the gaming landscape. It beat Path of Exile 2, the open beta of Battlefield 6. It beat Valheim and Call of Duty and Fallout 4, so on and so forth. And scrolling up, you'll find that, the games that have beaten, that continue to beat Silksong are some extreme juggernauts like Apex Legends and Marvel Rivals, as far as all-time peak concurrent players is concerned. But it's not too far behind from such titles. And so this is an incredible achievement for an indie game, especially one that's being sold at $20. And the thing that's really prominent about this game is what a Chad it is. That's the general conversation surrounding it because of all of the practices are incredibly consumer friendly. So they decided to make it so that people can't pre-order the game because they don't want to take people's money before actually having shipped the product. So respectable there. That's just the practice that nobody really does anymore. You got $20. The price point for Silksong being $20 is insane, given that people are willing to pay, $40, if not more, due to the quality of the games made by Team Cherry. And then at launch, it crashes all store. No review copies. Breaks over 500,000 players on Steam alone in hours. And now it's closer to almost 600,000 players. And then it reads right here, Silksong has annihilated AAA gaming and set a precedent. Yeah, you've got so many AAA companies reaching for $80 price points for games that are worth nowhere near that, and doing all of the egregious models like taking pre-orders and doing different editions and, adding microtransactions and single-player games and premium price games, so on and so forth. This is just a pure video game that is just so incredibly consumer-friendly in the way it tries to make itself financially accessible. And then it's really good to boot. I've been playing this game over the last 2 days, and it is a very much a worthy sequel to Hollow Knight. So it's been fantastic to see the game's success. You can see this tweet right here highlighting what a Chad this game is, garnering millions of views and hundreds of thousands of likes, and people utterly praising this model, this practice of making games and respecting consumers and customers over what a lot of the biggest companies do in their pursuit of greed that mainly stems from executives who are just, suits who are not game makers. They just take advantage of game making to try to make money. And it's game developers trying to navigate all that. But with Team Cherry being self-published and self-developed, They are fully autonomous, and with Hollow Knight being as successful as it was, they had the financial freedom to be able to take 7 years to develop this game, make it as good as it can be, make it, give it the polish that it needs, give it the most amount of content that they could fit into this. And then they shipped it for $20. Again, it's an insane story what this is. And the amount of goodwill surrounding this game is so positive that, get this, even pirates, folks who engage in piracy, are saying, don't pirate this game. This one deserves to be bought. And I'm not joking. In the Piracy subreddit, you've got somebody highlighting how, Silksong was cracked 15 minutes after release. So it's clear that Team Cherry didn't place a whole lot of anti-piracy measures with Silksong because they knew that they didn't need to. They knew that what they were offering was so good at such a compelling price point that they knew that, sure, some people will pirate this, but not to a point where it's going to severely negatively impact the sales of this game. Hollow Knight already made Team Cherry all the money that they could need, and Silksong will still make them even more. But the fact that there's such few anti-piracy measures here highlights a confidence in not only their intentions and the goodwill that they're garnering through those positive intentions, but a confidence in, this game's just good. And they know that people will buy it because, people want to support this thing because it's just that good. And that's a confidence that's well warranted given the kinds of comments we're seeing here on the Piracy subreddit. Scrolling down, you'll see top posting. The game is way cheaper than a lot of people expected, and they probably didn't plant much anti-piracy measures because happy customers usually won't pirate. And then scrolling further down, somebody else is saying, I'm buying this game on GOG straight away, even though I'll probably play it later. So in the Piracy subreddit, people are like, I'm supporting this endeavor because, something that Gabe Newell said is that piracy, it's ultimately just a service issue. If you provide a service that's better than piracy, then people will opt to not pirate the game, and they will actually want to support the product, and they will actually want to take advantage of the service features that it offers. But beyond that, Silksong itself is a worthwhile game as far as supporting it goes, as far as purchasing it goes, because it did literally everything right. Quality, consumer friendliness, and the way they treated devs even. There was an article from Bloomberg with Jason Schreier talking about how they were in development heaven because they had just complete autonomy, and they just, ensured that the development process itself was also just pleasurable. And so, right here we have people who almost never buy games on day one, at launch, on release, or who've never done that. And with Silksong, they're making an exception. Right here, this is somebody from the Piracy subreddit saying, first game I've bought day of release in a decade probably. Here's somebody else saying, not even the decade for me. It's the very first. Scrolling further down, you'll find top comments that are all echoing the sentiment of support this game. The pirates are saying, let's not pirate this one. This one is a game that doesn't deserve that. Saying, quote, it's a 3 to 4 person team that is done right by their fans at every turn, making sure the PC release is DRM free, making sure all the original backers of Hollow Knight get Silksong free on their choice of platform. Oh yeah, I forgot about that actually. Insane. The way they've really shown their gratitude to backers and not try to screw them over and continuing to show them grace. And then making this game DRM free is another cherry on top. And right here we can see this pirate saying, this is a time where if we can afford to support them, we should. The collective call on the part of pirates to support this game is incredibly wholesome. That's just really something you almost never see. This individual, I did the same with Hollow Knight. Once I got the money, I bought it. So this person's saying I will pirate it, but with the intent of eventually buying it when the money comes in. So it might as well be a customer that has that Team Cherry has earned their purchase. Here's another comment scrolling further down saying, hey, the game is pretty cheap. This one, we should not pirate, and a lot of people agreeing, so on and so forth. The only game I feel bad if I ever pirated it, and some people highlighting just how surprised they are at the turn that this subreddit took. Just buy it, comments in a piracy forum, says this Reddit user. Yeah, it is rather unusual, but that's the prowess of Silksong. That is the goodwill that Silksong has garnered. That is the kind of support you get when you do right by your customers and you really care about the quality of your games and you put out there something that is just wholly unique in its identity and that really takes the genre and pushes it forward. And other social media outlets like Blue Sky, people posting things like Silksong's release is the first time I've seen comments on the Piracy subreddit push for people to buy it instead. Even in another Piracy subreddit titled Pirated Games, here's somebody saying, look, Team Cherry, I love you, but my dad told me we are short on cash and I ain't waiting. Comments below read, no, not this one. This one I pay in blood, sweat, and tears. And others are encouraging him to at least support the game later, buy it later if you want. And, you know, the original poster actually said, yeah, I will. I will eventually buy this game. Again, an incredible amount of support from the people you'd least expect to show that kind of support. PC Gamer here highlighted this whole story, this whole situation with this tweet that reads, Silksong is so popular, even people in the Piracy subreddit are encouraging others to buy it. If we can afford to support them, we should. Quoting one of the comments, you can see hundreds of thousands of views and tens of thousands of likes and people just revering Silksong and the way it's rallied just about everyone together to support this title. And this is actually the thing that I mentioned before about Gabe Newell highlighting how piracy has always been a service issue. $20 for a great game has always been worth it. $20 for a great game from a great development team with great practices, I think that is worthy of support. I mean, I actually bought multiple copies of Silksong just because I wanted to show them support. I bought the Switch version, and then I bought the PC version. Hell, I might buy the PlayStation version down the line. Or I might, you know, gift some of these out to people who have, like, not ever played Hollow Knight or Silksong and, like, introduce them to Team Cherry's masterpieces here. Either way, like, there's plenty of ways to support this game. And even with all that support, it still costs less than an $80 AAA game or, you know, a freaking skin in a live service. So it's just really wholesome stuff that I wanted to highlight. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we've got some insinuations that Silksong's $20 price tag could hurt the indie scene because it sets a precedent for the kind of quality and the amount of content you need to have for a $20 price tag to be worth it, where other indie devs who might have priced their games at $20, but maybe wouldn't have shipped an experience that's as long or as substantial as Silksong could have. And that's an argument that I might want to break down in a separate video, but no, you know, like, not every $20 game has to be Silksong. What's great about Silksong is that despite it being able to choose to price its game higher, it chose not to. That doesn't mean that all $20 games have to be at the level that Team Cherry shipped their $20 games at. Because, you know, Team Cherry is just in this unique position where Hollow Knight just happened to be very successful and they were financially just supported enough and they were self-sufficient enough where they could take all the time in the world, where they can charge $20 for Silksong and be more than okay. So I don't think this should apply to every indie game, and I think I don't believe that this is going to hurt anything, really. It just sets a new boundary for what is achievable potentially under the right circumstances, with the right development team, with the right care for quality. But yeah, I'll cover that in a separate video. But generally, just all around overwhelming praise for Hollow Knight Silksong. You can already see that Hollow Knight Silksong is off to a really good start with a very positive score of 93% from almost 29,000 reviews. And on Metacritic, you'll find a user score with a universal acclaim of 9.0 from 707,000 user ratings. You've got critics already, while they haven't given a score yet because they're still finishing the game. I mean, all of them have nothing but positive sentiments to share about how this is a great follow-up to the original Hollow Knight game. So there's just about nothing going wrong with this title. This is just about as perfect as a launch can get, both on the developer side, on the commercial side, on the critical side, and on the community side, especially where the piracy side of things is concerned. When even that side is like, support this game, you've done something right. So congratulations to you, Team Cherry. You are a treasure in the games industry. Keep doing what you do, and hopefully others will follow your example, seeing your success. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is one man's take on this wholesome situation, this awesome launch of Hollow Knight Silksong. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on this whole situation and what your experience has been like with Hollow Knight Silksong and seeing all of the support surrounding it. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.